strategy when I'm sitting in meditation? Is there any hand posture which is more beneficial? Any hand position?
Your body feels comfortable, whatever.
Because in yoga they say that we should touch some fingers. Does it make any difference?
Because then, like if you touch this, then there will be a little bit something going on here, and your whole attention will be here. They explain about postures, but it was for them. Because I feel each body is different. And each body will make a different posture.
So for this body, you have anything to recommend? Or just listen?
Yes, I said just feel comfortable in the most comfortable posture that will allow to forget body.
Aditya, are we meditating now, may I ask? What does Upanishad mean if we translate it into English?
To sit close.
Huh?
To sit close.
To sit
Close.
Like up means close, closer, like by the side,
Yeah.
and nisad means sit, sitting, like sitting closer to whatever that happens.
Ah.
Like when two alive people sit together, like, because of love, not because of any responsibility.
Okay.
So that something, some response come.
So it's sitting close to another person or a master or
No,
a
stay
teacher.
close to master, to teacher.
A teacher. And then the name. The name then that you said is Mandukya Upanishad. Does Mandukya also have a meaning?
Mandukya is like related with frog.
Related with
Frog. Mandukya. Frog.
Frog, frog.
a frog.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the name of a rishi, Mandukya. Munda. But it's, the literal meaning is frog.
But that was the name of a rishi.
Yeah.
Oh. And then the ego, is that related to the Garuda?
Yeah. Like bird, fly.
Thank you.
भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयामदेवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैतुष्टवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेमदेवहितं यदायुः ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः
meditation. What's that? Like
Yeah.
you just done? What is that?
It's a prayer, which means maybe hear good, maybe listen good. May there be peace in all the three worlds.
And where's it come from?
It's part of Upanishad,
That's part of
the
it.
beginning of it. It's called Shanti Mantra.
It's called
Shanti Mantra. Like attuning our mind so that so yesterday we talked about focusing upon I, and if not, then focusing upon mind, and if not, then focusing upon a created thought, that is mantra. The simplest and most difficult thing is to stay with your sense of self, the I. Is the simplest and the most difficult thing. Simplest because it doesn't need so much speculation, not much to understand. Just staying with your own sense of self in whatever form it manifests. Whether you like it or you don't like it, whether you want it to change, whether you want another self, but somehow you are stuck with this particular self, that doesn't matter. Just stay with it. The biggest problem with that is initially when you try to stay with it, it doesn't have juice, the kind of juice that we are used to. Like, the food, Indian, Chinese food, we have a lot of spices, and so if something like fruit is offered to somebody, you say, okay, for one time it's good, but then again Indians, they want to have the Chinese spice. Although fruit might be healthier, but then we are so used to Chinese spices, like we want. So generally people tend to get bored after 7 minutes of this kind of meditation. Because we are so used to thoughts and thinking. Again, the next thing is working with thought. And most of us are very used to what the thought is. We are very used to working with it, trying to modify it, trying to change it, trying to have better thoughts, trying to prune the thoughts which are not beneficial or which we tend to think is not beneficial, and get new thoughts, which is not a crime. But when we are meditating on thoughts, the biggest problem or biggest obstacle is both things cannot go together. Which both things? Our years and years of practice of changing the thoughts and seeing the thoughts. Like when we start seeing the thoughts or observing the thoughts, often we find a particular thought which we do not like in our being, and we stop seeing it and kind of get involved into it and try to change it. And this effort of changing the thought, it's like we feel more certain with it. This has helped over time. It's not completely useless effort. We have seen that this is something that has worked for us. So we just stop from seeing the thoughts over the bridge, and we kind of jump from the bridge and try to start thinking out. Try to we get involved into it. And this might be a little bit helpful, but when we are meditating, this is not what we want to do. Because you have observed that this method works, but we have also observed that we change the thought, change it for better, but after some time, few months, few years, few days or few hours or few minutes, that modified version does need again changing. We change our thought, thinking, wrong view, making it right view, but that doesn't last very long. We need to change it again. We need to change it again. And even if we do not need to change it again, somehow that changed thought is at one place. It's not really like you enjoy doing it. We feel it's very necessary to do it, but it's not such an enjoyable thing to do. So looking at this change, as people in the outside world, they see that they accumulate things, and whatever they have accumulated, they change. Similarly, this accumulation of modification and having new thoughts, better thoughts, it's like you gather it with lot of effort, but it's not something that you want to do actually. It's like not working. And once that observation becomes clear, there is lesser chance of yours getting involved in the thoughts. More you understand the futility of changing the thoughts, and that might not come in one day. But more we understand the futility of changing the thoughts, more the trust is upon the meditation, like allowing the thoughts to just flow and take the personality its own course and operates not only from thought but something behind the thought, or more deeper than thoughts, then this very addictive need to change the thought becomes lesser, and you tend to get less involved in the process of thinking.
Could you give an example, please? I'm not sure whether I understand correctly.
Yes.
Right? You say you might not like a thought. Would that be then have to be related to a feeling that you feel you should not have? I mean, what would be an example of a thought that one should not have?
Didn't say that we should not have thoughts.
No, but
Like-
okay, but we might think we shouldn't have that thought. I might have a thought that I think I should not have this
that
thought,
Yeah.
and so I would try
So-
to change it.
Yeah.
But what would be an example of a thought that one feels one should not have? I can understand not a feeling. I can think that I shouldn't have this feeling. I can have a very strong feeling of not disliking, of really disliking somebody, or even hating somebody.
Yes.
And I know that that is, in the long run, not productive. So I might want to change that. But I can't really, I can't for myself come up with an example of a thought that I can have that I feel I want to change.
Good enough. Like, if you do not have an example of a thought that you do not want to change, it's good enough. Not everybody will have.
Okay.
Like, it's not something that everybody has.
But this is just in reference to meditation.
Yeah. Like, meditation is something that we are interested in and upon which we are trusting a different kind of well-being that we would derive from it, or accessing to a different sphere of us. So this is in reference to, if we try to do it outside, then it's kind of then thinking and not thinking about thinking, and it gets into the all mess.
I just want to ask, aren't you guys saying the same thing though? Like, when you talk about having the feeling or the thought that you don't like somebody, that you hate somebody, and isn't that what you're saying though? Isn't that what you're trying to...
He was talking about emotions, which is in response to the thought of body, and emotion is a little bit more than thoughts. But emotions are...
So he wouldn't have the thought first. There wouldn't be the thought related to the emotion?
Thoughts
hating somebody?
emotions are almost always, most of the time they are related with thoughts.
Yeah.
I define emotion as response of body to the thoughts. Because we can have same kind of thought but not emotion related with it. Like, say there is a snake, and I might not respond to it so with such a strong fear that somebody else will. So like, emotions are, to simplify the things, it's response of body to a particular thought. And it varies with different person.
And so what you're saying is, you're talking about just, like, I'm just trying to understand like the difference between what John said and what you're saying.
John said that there are emotions in us and we want to modify those emotions. But he cannot find an example of a thought that he wants to modify.
So in what you're saying is just the thought. Like, if it's, you just have a thought without an emotion following, it's just...
Following or without following.
Okay.
Like, thought with or without emotion.
Okay,
And,
okay.
and that you want to change.
Yeah, okay.
So while
That
in
part of it.
meditation, we are not interested trying not to changing it, but just being with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Second thing that we should note with this kind of meditations is when we say staying with your thoughts or knowing the thoughts, what is heard is stop thinking. When we say stay with your thoughts, what is heard is stop thinking. It's because absence of thinking, the experience of absence of thinking is very pleasurable. When thoughts are not there, we feel very good, very happy. It's kind of gets us connected. But mere wish or desire or effort to stop thinking will only increase thinking. Because you are not the doer of your thoughts. So if you are not the doer of your thoughts, you cannot be a doer of it.
So who do we have to speak to then?
Yes?
So who do we have to speak to then? If we're not in charge of these thoughts, then what department should we be seeking?
Just look. Just look deeper.
Just look at them.
It's kind of like whole system is generating, like we can have all, anyway, the system is generating thoughts. The system in itself, indriyarthesu vartante. Mind as an indriya, as an instrument, is working with its all six, it's getting informations from 5 senses and memory, and thoughts and thinkings are going on and on.
Can I just ask something?
Yeah.
Just quickly. So like can we say, or just for myself, can I, because I can see how like perception doesn't have like necessarily always like a, let's say, a feeling I can feel with it, perception. I don't think I ever have a thought I don't also have a feeling related to it.
Yeah.
So can I say perception?
Perception,
Can I
thought,
use that?
dhiri, dhri, bhi, lajja, like emotions, shame, anger, this is all thoughts.
Yeah, so okay, so I can, I'm just the way that like my
Sometimes
language
you
is.
think in words, sometimes you have visuals, but these are all thoughts.
Yeah, yes,
Just separate one thing out to make it your anger, that is your I. And put everything in the realm of thought.
okay,
The emotions, anger, shame, fear, greed. By thought we do not only mean the verbal thoughts, but the feelings, the visuals,
okay, so it's like you're saying thought, that's
thought.
like the,
Yeah, the bigger thought with big T.
So, excuse me, when I said I can't think of any thoughts I want to get rid of, if I understand you correctly, then, like from your definition, in a sense, that feeling of hate is also a thought,
Kind of.
and that is what I feel I should get rid of.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
So when I'm meditating, I'm just watching my thoughts until there aren't any left.
There are three categories. First thing is you are not the doer, and if it becomes clearer, you will find for yourself that you are not the enjoyer. Thoughts are like good thoughts and you get carried. That is not the problem. Getting carried is not the problem. Problem happens when the bad thoughts, the fearful thoughts, and then they start and you go, what the hell, why don't they stop? And it's from that experience of having a nightmare that a sweet dream, even if sweet dream, you feel bad about it. Like you feel like even the thoughts that are going, good thoughts, you want to stop them. Somehow there is a very deep urge to stop the thoughts. From our experience or something, somehow people do develop a very deep urge to stop the thoughts. And many people, they think by meditation it means stopping the thoughts. Which is a wrong view. Because you are not the doer of your thoughts, so you cannot be undoer of it.
Often I want to stop the obsessiveness with it, or there are some thoughts like repeat. It's okay, and I don't particularly want to stop. But if it's to a point where I so clearly see that I can't stop it, that's humbling or humiliating.
With humbling, but one trick that you can use, which is part of meditation but outside it.
Yeah.
Like I met with somebody who said that I write thoughts, I try to get rid of thoughts by writing them.
Yeah.
And I cannot. For years I am trying. So I told her, okay, you do something, you write what will happen, you do not get rid of the thoughts.
What will happen if I don't get rid by writing?
Yeah. Like you do not write about the thoughts that you want to get rid of. Write what will happen if you do not get rid of those.
All right, the horrible scenario.
Horrible scenarios. And she was like, Lara was like...
Like me?
Like a different Lara.
It's like,
And whole night she was like, like this, and next morning she was gloomy. She said that she had never felt rested like this. So it's the fearful consequences that is making you so afraid. It's kind of a mild form of, like anxiety kind of thing.
Yeah. Good. Because what I do, I don't do it with every thought. I'd be dead and I'd be too busy. But every now and then, there is a thought that it's just bedeviling. It just doesn't leave me alone. And it has charge to it, and there's a whole story. And then actually, I turn toward the content of the thought. What is this saying? And I employ, various techniques really to get acquainted with it, or to find out.
I can assure you that no technique will get it rid of. But the pain associated with it, the anxiety associated with it will go, and slowly the thoughts will become like, they will lose their power, and then they will themselves go.
Yeah.
If any effort to try to get it rid by directly addressing it,
right.
doesn't work.
Yes, that doesn't work. So it's a more skillful way to kind of dance with it and to see what's in it. And
Just the thoughts will remain.
yeah,
You have to accept that they will remain.
yeah, yeah.
Actually, what you exactly want is not to get rid of the thoughts, but the anxiety that comes with it.
Yeah, that's it. That's true. And the obsessiveness, you know, that I feel like I'm.
You don't have control.
Yes, that's it. Exactly.
So exactly what you want is to have the anxiety, that get rid of the anxiety
Yeah.
associated with thought.
To lessen the charge of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the first thing is, the moment you start becoming less anxious with it, it may. Just if you think that it will, then again, it may get rid of, it may not.
Yeah, yeah.
What's the problem?
Yeah.
I know that it will get rid of, but let's say it may get rid of.
Thank you.
Aditya, you say that I'm not the doer of my thoughts.
Yes.
Where are those thoughts coming from?
See, they are very close to you.
Finding out.
So there are 3 stages. I am just naming them. First is, you are not the doer of your thoughts. Second, with every thought there is some anxiety or some love, but like some infatuation, not love, some infatuation, or some fear, or some awe, or some, like different, with different thoughts we have those enjoyments, the fruits of the thoughts. You get the fruit in the form of fear, you get the fruit in the form of liking it, you get the like with different thoughts, different emotions comes, and you keep enjoying it or rejecting it. Today paneer sabji is, so the thought itself is giving some enjoyment, for me at least. And I have laundry to do, so it's something that I don't like. So the thought itself is giving some enjoyment or some kind of pushing up. And if you closely observe, it's not training, mind that. We are not training. Just the simple fact of observation will reveal that you are not the enjoyer of the thoughts.
Is that the number 3?
Number 2.
That's
You are not the doer of your thoughts.
and not the enjoyer of the thought.
You are not the enjoyer. Enjoyer means enjoying in both ways.
Yeah.
Enjoyer. And third thing is, you are not the seer of your thought. That's way too far. Karta, bhokta, drashta. This split between observer and the observed is not true. This is a tool, a meditative tool. So this so much emphasis upon you are the observer, keep observing, be aware, is a tool. Don't take it too seriously.
Don't take these 3 steps too seriously.
Like these instructions, be aware, keep watching, keep vigil.
Aditya,
Yes.
but isn't that how we walk or frog jump? I know it's only a little, what did you call it, a knack?
Knack.
Yeah. But it's a useful one, no?
Which one?
The observant, because you
Yeah, it's
start
a-
to fall into something else, no?
Yeah, observant is a good knack, one of the best knacks.
So you could say from step number 2, there is a charge with every thought.
Almost, not every, but almost. And if we watch enough, the charge and magnitude of it
Yeah.
becomes lesser.
Ah.
Like thought comes, and if we are staying with it, then maybe there is a snake, and I get really scared. And it comes, there is a snake, and that charge becomes lesser and lesser and lesser. You are not making it. It's not that you are making it. Somehow it gets diminished.
Conditioning.
Somehow it gets, let's not go into the process very refined, otherwise it will be too much.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Somehow it works.
Okay.
We can go into defining, like there is one more thing with meditative processes that people are very, like they have this habit of becoming sure of things. So in the meditative processes they go on spilting here on how this process will work, how this will work, and that in itself becomes, which is good a little bit, just to keep yourself motivated enough to work with it. How the process works will help you explain it to others. But then,
So in these techniques, say psychological techniques that are used to, people go to analysts or psychotherapists and they go, I have this thought about my mother, da da da, and they talk about it. Is that just the same thing of observing? Is it that the sufferer, the patient, is led to a place of lessening the charge, of seeing it as something that passes down the river or that passes by the sky? Is that so?
yeah, but one difference is that is selective observation.
It is, because you're picking one
thing.
particular thought.
Yeah.
That's
So that is a kind of selective observation,
yeah.
which might work in selective cases, as I have
Yeah.
told.
Yeah.
Like you write
Yeah.
one.
What was the worst thing? What would the worst thing be if this thought didn't stop?
So these are selective observations.
Yeah.
But when we are not talking psychology,
Yeah.
but when we are more into meditation,
Yeah.
then it should be more and more non-selective observation.
Yes. Okay.
And somehow, when our psychology is saying observation is good for mind,
Yeah.
like you observe and find out and prune, that's why I begin with that. So that, and when Buddhism or Mandukya says you are the observer, so somehow we tend to feel that both are saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Yes, both are saying the same thing, but there is a big difference between a selective observation, which involves and keeps the doership.
Yeah, it could if you're not careful.
Yeah, it keeps the doership, and it requires lot of vigil,
Yes,
vigilance, and it might go wrong. You like,
Too much vigilance.
yeah,
What?
it might
I
go
said
wrong.
too much vigilance.
Yeah.
Like you may end up imagining things that are not there.
I know. You invest it with extra meaning.
Yeah, and like over meaning, and then one may become extra touchy. Extra touchy,
Oh, extra touchy.
Excellent.
extra touchy,
Extra touchy.
Extra touchy. Yeah.
extra touchy with your
Yeah,
mind.
yeah.
Oh, what will happen because somebody is saying bad to me, so I will be I will become, like you start imagining.
No. That's what I'm saying.
But with these things, okay, my mother was not treating me good.
Whatever. Didn't give her chocolate.
Didn't give me chocolate.
Yeah.
So we just stay with that. She was beating me. I stay with that.
Mhm.
We do not give meanings to it, try to heal the child within, or I have seen it.
Yeah.
That might be good in very extreme cases, but in general sense, good in extreme cases like those small things, but in general sense, it's better when we are sticking with a flow and just staying with thoughts and not giving it life.
When you say staying with a thought, do you mean staying with the sensation?
Thoughts, sensations, thought means mind, sensations and relationships between the two.
Okay. So you're keeping the thought there as well?
Yeah,
That's
thought means mind, which means memory, which means planning. Memory is past, smriti. Planning is future.
So you wouldn't just stay just with the sensation?
No. Thoughts and sensations. And it is better to begin with thoughts, because thoughts is the immediate thing that we know, which is natural. Thoughts is natural for most of us here. It might not be very natural for a soldier who is fighting on the, or somebody who is working so much with body, but with us, thought is the most immediate thing that we know. And we begin with thoughts, and then sensations comes, and it's difficult to be with sensations. Easier to be with thoughts, a bit difficult to be with sensations. So then we take help of mantra. Because mantra, what it does, it works with, it creates a sensation of its own. And it somehow nullifies or makes the effect of those sensations, strong sensations, lesser.
So I find that I can often not access my emotions or feelings. It's more that I look at the content of my thoughts, that I know
Which is
whether
easy.
I'm angry. Yeah.
Which is
I mean, this
easy.
is how I find out.
Yeah,
and
for
how I
most
feel.
of the people who are working with mind, it's easy to start working with thoughts. And when it comes to sensations, sensations are really, because you have worked with your thoughts, so sensations will come in very strong form.
Yeah.
And then if you cannot go to a temple, go to beautiful places, take bath in Ganga, sit with Shiva, and those energies, because sensations means energies, and those energies sit with, and those energies, somehow you have to deal with yourself. But these things can be helpful. So we stay with, we are not the doer of our thoughts. Don't feel responsible for thinking, good or bad. Good or bad, both. I am so intelligent, I think such great things. So next moment something bad will come and it will make you, shake you. So don't take the responsibility of thinking good or bad.
Can I not say, don't take the ownership of it, but the responsibility I would have to take, no? I mean, there's a slight difference there. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, it wasn't me who did it, it's different from, it isn't me who's responsible for it. So. Or is this being too...
This is a trick. This is one of his tricks.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
actually you are not responsible also.
Okay.
Thoughts is happening in this.
well, but I'm responsible. So maybe I have this thought, I'm so angry, I'm going to whack so and so. So I'm responsible for my actions. So
Actions is different.
that's different. Okay, good. Okay, next. Don't be disturbed by my comment.
No,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah.
good. That's
you are not responsible for your thoughts. Little difficult.
Okay. You know, this is semantics. Responding means répondre, or means to give an answer to something. So in that sense, it's true. I'm not answering back to that. So
Yeah.
okay, good.
You are not criminalized for your thoughts. You are not going to be, or not as, you will not be a sinner if you think, all those consequences.
I'm not accountable for it.
Accountable for your thoughts. Because you are not the doer of your thoughts.
What does it mean to say I am not the doer of my thoughts?
If you look at your eye closely, the eye that we have been talking for last 2 days, and in relations to your thought, you will actually find the eye that you have seen, or the eye that you have, has nothing to do with your thoughts.
It's separate from them.
Yeah, it's somehow separate from it. That I might not be the great I, the great self, but the self that is self-evident now has nothing to do with your thoughts. Just a little observation. Isn't it?
No, I can see there's a difference, that thoughts will come, or feelings, even body sensations, all that will come, but they are not the I. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. But so there is like the I that will be thinking something, be hating, be wanting to hit.
That thought will still be doing those things.
Yeah.
Hating, trying to change. But that I, the simple I, not the big I, not the imagined I, not the great I, that the I as it is of your now, which might change next moment, but there is one I every second you have, that has not much to do with your thoughts.
So that I would be, like in a sense, the pure observer of what you're thinking or feeling.
It's not even observer, that's what I have said. But let's stick to it is not the doer of your thoughts.
Okay.
And clearer it becomes, it will be self-evident that it's not an enjoyer of your thoughts. It's like, just see, your thoughts are disturbing you, are pleasuring you. Does it does anything to me? My thoughts, good or bad, is it a problem for you?
Not at all.
So how much distance should be from you to the thinking machine that it should not be a problem? Like your thinking machine is very close to you, maybe, and mine is like 4 or 5 meters. So what should be the distance?
So you're saying that this I you're talking of is even in a sense of more subtle or deeper than the observer.
Observation is one capacity of mind where mind observes itself. Like mind, one part of mind observes itself. And as qualities of mind gets reflected upon I, similarly thinking gets reflected in I, emotions get reflected in I. We gave the example of prism and the red flower. So red flower gets reflected in the prism, but if you look really, then you can see that redness is not in the prism. Similarly, observation is a power of mind. It's a mental function. Very refined function, but it's still mental, which gets reflected in the eye. We have agreed upon that these reflections are part of me and we are not going to do anything to do with it. Like whatever my eye is, reflected or unreflected or reflected with many colors, maybe not only red flower but yellow flower, but that is our eye for a moment and we will begin working with that. So that's why in the beginning I'm not saying you are not the observer. I'm just saying you are not the doer of your thoughts. In this tradition there is one thing that I would say, there is very strict difference between an understanding of what the experience is and what the upadesha should be. Upadesha means instruction. Like instructions are never profound.
Never
Profound.
profound.
They are always gross. Experience is profound.
Is what? Perform?
Profound.
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 And my experience, like here we have the aham brahmasmi. You have heard I am that. So that is an experience. And an experience generally do not become instructions. Thou art that, Tattvamasi, is an instruction. It's an upadesha. So experiences should not become instructions. Because that when because they turn into information, and when your information is ahead of your experience, that creates conflict. So let's stay. Yeah. When information is ahead of your experience, that creates conflict.
Mm.
That only makes you feel bad. So, we are not the doer of our thoughts.
And upadesha, you said, means?
Instructions.
You just said what upadesha means.
Upadesh means instruction.
It's instruction, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And experience, anubhuti.
So you use the example, I think something of I am that.
Is an experience.
If it is an experience, yes.
It's an Aham Brahmasmi in Upanishad experience, and thou art that.
It's also an experience.
It is an instruction.
Oh. So telling somebody just thou art that is just giving them an instruction.
Yeah.
But they're not experiencing, or I'm not experiencing it.
I am Brahman, I am that not. I am Brahman is experience. So, so singing I am Brahman, you can enjoy yourself. I am Sat, Chit, Anand, truth, knowledge, bliss. But that will not do anything to the listener.
We will not do anything to...
Listener.
Ah.
For listener, you have to explain what is meant by you and what is meant by that and what is meant by R, the connection between the two. What exactly is referred by you, whether it is body or mind or thoughts. When you are saying that, what is meant by that? So it seems that means tree or animal or God or whatever. So you have to exactly explain it. Then it works. So Upadesh and Anubhuti, instructions and experiences, are to be kept separate.
Aditya,
Yes.
what do you do if you have kind of thoughts and then you kind of going, you kind of got a wish to change them?
Sometimes you can do, but over slow observation you will see that it's not so enjoyable. And even if you change it, later you need to change it again.
I'm just noticing that when I'm seeing certain thoughts, I'm just like kind of automatically there's a little wish in there that's sort of wishing for something.
Yeah. So just remember that you are not the doer of both the thoughts and wish to change it.
I don't know
Because both are the thoughts.
I'm not quite with that at the moment. I don't know.
Any more questions as of now?
Yeah, just so I get this clear, I'm asking you to repeat yourself. If we stick to the example of I am that, that is an...
I am Brahman, not I am that. I am Brahman.
Oh, okay.
Same thing.
Sorry, Aditya, you said?
Yes.
No, I'm saying same thing, that and Brahman.
What does
Yes.
Brahman mean?
Brahman means like everything.
So if you are saying, I am Brahman, is that an experience? Or no, that must be an instruction. So that's an experience.
Experience. I am Brahman.
But you go around saying you're having an experience that you're not having. I mean, none of us here know we're Brahman. If we really did, then we wouldn't be here. Or
No, we might be.
well, we might be.
You do not grow a horn.
No, but you know what I'm getting at is that if I am Brahman is an instruction.
In experience.
Is an experience.
It's like I am Brahman. Somebody experiencing I am Brahman is an experience.
Oh yeah, for somebody else, but I mean it's not for me. If I said it wouldn't be my experience.
No, so that's for somebody, because I am Brahman is said somewhere in Upanishad. Some rishi was meditating and he became so happy. He said, aham annam, aham nadam, aham brahman. He started speaking like this. He became so happy. So it was experience for him.
For him it was an experience. Yeah.
It's never instructed like. But when somebody goes to in Upanishad the stories are, somebody goes, so it said you are that. Tattvamasi. You are that.
And then that would be an
Instruction.
instruction.
So what happens if I say I am hungry?
No.
That's an experience.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you for that. Very reminding us.
You are hungry as a teacher.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.